I want to ask you about another tweet you sent. You sent a tweet over the weekend about the death toll in this horrible terror attack in Pakistan over the weekend.
Right.
You talked about the death toll, and then you said, I alone can solve.
I think I alone, because I know my competition. Look, I know my competition.
You alone among the Republican
I see Hillary
candidates.
with Benghazi. You know the famous ad, 3 o'clock in the morning? Guess what? The phone rang, she wasn't there. Unless Sydney called.
But you're
called,
the only one who can solve terror problems in Pakistan? I mean, Pakistan...
Yeah, of the ones that are running, I'm the only one. I know what I'm running. I know the competition. And believe me, I know. I watched Ted Cruz.
How, though? I mean,
so phony. I mean, you know, I know you have a couple of people out there because he put them in the audience, but it's so false. It's, you know, the whole thing with the 5-second intermissions between sentences. Now, yes, I think I am the one to be able to solve the problem.
But, I mean, there's problems in a lot of different countries. The problems in the United States. How can you solve the problems all the way over in Pakistan when the Pakistanis themselves are struggling with it?
Look, Pakistan is a very, very vital problem and really vital country for us because they have a thing called nuclear weapons. They have to get a hold of their situation. When I see that and when I see it put in a park because it was mostly Christians, although many others were killed other than Christians, I think it's just absolutely a horrible story. But I'm talking about radical Islamic terrorism. I will solve it far better than anybody else running.
Let's talk about nuclear issues, because you talked about this in a really interesting article.
One of the very, very big issues, I think maybe the biggest issue of our time.
That's what you said to the New York Times. You said you worried about the proliferation of nuclear weapons the most. You also said, though, that you might support Japan and South Korea developing nuclear weapons of their own. Isn't that completely contradictory?
No, not at all. Look, you have North Korea has nuclear weapons, and he doesn't have a carrier yet, but he's got nuclear weapons. He soon will have. We don't want to pull the trigger. We're just, you know, we have a president, frankly, that doesn't, nobody's afraid of our president. Nobody respects our president. You take a look at what's going on throughout the world. It's not the country that it was.
But if you're concerned about proliferation, letting other countries get nuclear weapons, isn't that proliferation?
We owe $19 trillion. We are supporting nations now militarily. We are supporting nations like Saudi Arabia, which was making during the good oil days, which was a year ago. Now they're making less, but still a lot, $1 billion a day. We are supporting them militarily, and they pay us a fraction of what they should be paying us and of the cost. We are supporting Japan. Most people didn't even know that. Most people didn't know that we are taking care of Japan's military needs. We're supporting Japan.
But it's been
we're supporting, excuse me, we're supporting Germany. We're supporting South Korea. I order thousands of television sets because I am in the real estate business, you know, my other life. Okay?
It's been a U.S. policy, though, for decades to prevent Japan from getting nuclear weapons.
That might be a policy, but
South Korea as well.
Can I be honest with you? Maybe it's going to have to be time to change because so many people, you have Pakistan has it, you have China has it, you have so many other countries now
having it. So some proliferation is okay?
No, not some. I hate proliferation. I hate nuclear more than any. My uncle was a professor at MIT, used to tell me about nuclear, used to tell me about the problem.
That's contradictory about Japan and South Korea.
At some point, how many countries have it? Iran is going to have it with one of the worst, one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen signed ever by anybody. Iran is going to have it within 10 years. At some point, we have to say, you know what? We're better off if Japan protects itself against this maniac in North Korea. We're better off, frankly, if South Korea is going to start to protect itself.
Saudi Arabia, nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia, absolutely.
You would be fine with them having nuclear weapons?
No, not nuclear weapons, but they have to protect themselves or they have to pay us. Here's the thing. With Japan, they have to pay us or we have to let them protect themselves.
But if you say to Japan, yes, it's fine, you get nuclear weapons, South Korea, you as well, and Saudi Arabia says we want them too.
Can I be honest with you? It's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. It's only a question of time. They're going to start having them, or we have to get rid of them entirely. But you have so many countries already, China, Pakistan, you have so many countries, Russia, you have so many countries right now that have them. Now, wouldn't you rather, in a certain sense, have Japan have nuclear weapons when North Korea has nuclear weapons? And they do have them. They absolutely have them. They have no carrier system yet, but they will very soon. Wouldn't you rather have Japan, perhaps, they're over there, they're very close, they're very fearful of North Korea, and we're supposed to protect.
So you're saying you don't want more nuclear weapons in the world, but you're okay with Japan and South Korea having...
I don't want more nuclear weapons. I think that, you know, when I hear Obama get up and say the biggest threat to the world today is global warming, I say, is this guy kidding? The only global warming I'm worried about is nuclear global warming, because that's the single biggest threat. So it's not that I'm a fan. We can't afford it anymore. We're sitting on a tremendous bubble. We're going to be, again, $21 trillion. We don't have money.
So you have no security concerns about
money,
Japan and South Korea getting
Anderson,
nuclear weapons?
When you see all of the money that our country is spending on military, we're not really spending it for ourselves. We're protecting all these nations all over the world. We can't afford to do it anymore.
But isn't there benefit for the United States in having a secure Europe? Isn't there benefit for the United States in having a secure
There's a benefit,
Asia?
but not big enough to bankrupt and destroy the United States, because that's what's happening. We can't afford it. It's very simple. Now, I would rather see Japan having some form of defense and maybe even offense against North Korea, because we're not pulling the trigger. The bottom line on North Korea is China, if they wanted to, they're a tremendous supplier of North Korea. They have tremendous power over North Korea. If they wanted to, if they weren't toying with us, Anderson, China would be the one that would get in and could make a deal in one day.
I got to ask you about this back and forth between you and Senator Cruz about wives. After saying that you were going to spill the beans about Heidi Cruz, you retweeted an unflattering picture of her next to a picture of your wife.
I thought it was a nice picture of Heidi. I thought it was fine.
Come on.
I thought it was fine. She's a pretty woman.
You're running for president of the United States.
Excuse me. I didn't start it.
Okay,
I didn't start it.
But, sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old.
I didn't start it. No, it's not the.
Yeah,
no, it's
the argument of a 5-year-old is
excuse me,
he started
You
it.
would say that.